Adapted from archaic translation by Robert Chalmers. JATAKA No. 49. Nikàya. The Fool May Watch. This story was told by the master while at Jetavana monastery about a certain naked ascetic. Tradition says that a gentleman of the country near Shravasti city asked in marriage for his son a young Shravasti city lady of equal rank. Having fixed a day to come and fetch the bride, he subsequently consulted a naked ascetic who was intimate with his family, as to whether the stars were favourable for holding the festivities that day. He didn't ask me in the first instance, thought the indignant ascetic, but having already fixed the day, without consulting me, just makes an empty reference to me now. Very good. I'll teach him a lesson. So he made answer that the stars were not favourable for that day, that the nuptials should not be celebrated that day, and that, if they were, great misfortune would come of it. And the country family in their faith in their ascetic did not go for the bride that day. Now the bride's friends in the town had made all their preparations for celebrating the nuptials. And when they saw that the other side did not come, they said, "It was they who fixed today, and yet they have not come. And we have gone to great expense about it all. Who are these people? Let us marry the girl to someone else." So they found another bridegroom and gave the girl to him in marriage with all the festivities they had already prepared. Next day the country party came to fetch the bride. But the Shravasti city people rated them as follows. "You country folk are a bad lot. You fixed the day yourselves, and then insulted us by not coming. We have given the girl to another." The country party started a quarrel, but in the end went home the way they came. Now the brethren came to know how that naked ascetic had stopped the festivity, and they began to talk the matter over in the hall of truth. Entering the hall, and learning on enquiry the subject of their conversation, the master said, "Brethren, this is not the first time that this same ascetic has stopped the festivities of that family. Out of pique with them, he did just the same thing once before." And so saying, he told this story of the past. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, some townsfolk had asked a country girl in marriage and had named the day. Having already made the arrangement, they asked their family ascetic whether the stars were propitious for the ceremony on that day. Annoyed at their having fixed the day to suit themselves without first taking advice with him, the ascetic made up his mind to stop their marriage festivities for that day. And accordingly he made answer that the stars were not favorable for that day, and that, if they persisted, grave misfortune would be the result. So, in their faith in the ascetic, they stayed at home. When the country folk found that the town party did not come, they said among themselves, "It was they who fixed the marriage for today, and now they have not come. Who are they?" And they married the girl to someone else. Next day the townsfolk came and asked for the girl. But they of the country made this answer. "You town people lack common decency. You yourselves named the day and yet did not come to fetch the bride. As you stopped away, we married her to someone else. But we asked our ascetic, and he told us the stars were unfavorable. That's why we did not come, yesterday. Give us the girl. You didn't come at the proper time, and now she's another's. How can we marry her twice over?" While they wrangled thus with one another, a wise man from the town came into the country on business. Hearing the townsfolk explain that they had consulted their ascetic and that their absence was due to the unfavorable nature of the stars, he exclaimed, "What, do the stars matter? Is not the lucky thing to get the girl?" And, so saying, he repeated this stanza. The fool may watch for lucky days, yet luck shall always miss. It is luck itself is luck's own star. What can mere stars achieve? As for the townsfolk, as they did not get the girl for all their wrangling, they had to go off home again. Said the master, "This is not the first time, brethren, that this naked ascetic has stopped that family's festivities. He did just the same thing in past times also. His lesson ended, he explained the relation and identified the birth by saying, this ascetic was also the ascetic of those days, and the families too were the same. I myself was the wise and good man who uttered the stanza. JATAKA no. 50. Dummetta JATAKA. 1,000 evil doers. This story was told by the master while at Jetavana monastery, about actions done for the world's good, as will be explained in the 12th book in the Mahakana Jataka. Once upon a time when Brahmadatta was reigning in Benares, the Bodhisattva was reborn in the womb of the queen wife. When he was born, he was named Prince Brahmadatta on his name day. By 16 years of age he had been well educated at Taxila, had learned the 3 Vedas by heart, and was versed in the 18 branches of knowledge. And his father made him a viceroy. Now in those days the Benares folk were much given to festivals to gods, and used to show honor to gods. It was their habitual action to massacre numbers of sheep, goats, poultry, swine, and other living creatures, and perform their rites not merely with flowers and perfumes but with gory carcasses. Thought the destined Lord of mercy to himself, led astray by superstition, men now arbitrarily sacrifice life. The people are for the most part given up to immorality. But when at my father's death I succeed to my inheritance, I will find means to end such destruction of life. I will devise some clever plan by which the evil shall be stopped without harming a single human being. In this mood the prince one day mounted his chariot and drove out of the city. On the way he saw a crowd gathered together at a holy banyan tree, praying to the fairy who had been reborn in that tree, to grant them sons and daughters, honor and wealth, each according to his heart's desire. Descending from his chariot the Bodhisattva came near to the tree and behaved as a worshipper so far as to make offerings of perfumes and flowers, sprinkling the tree with water, and pacing respectfully round its trunk. Then mounting his chariot again, he went his way back into the city. From then on the prince made like journeys from time to time to the tree, and worshipped it like a true believer in gods. Single quote. In due course, when his father died, the Bodhisattva ruled in his stead. Shunning the 4 evil courses, and practicing the 10 royal virtues, he ruled his people in righteousness. And now that his desire had come to pass and he was king, the Bodhisattva set himself to fulfill his former resolve. So he called together his ministers, the Brahmins, the gentry, and the other ranks of the people, and asked the assembly whether they knew how he had made himself king. But no man could tell. Have you ever seen me respectfully worshipping a banyan tree with perfumes and the like, and bowing down before it? Sire, we have, said they. Well, I was making a vow. And the vow was that, if ever I became king, I would offer a sacrifice to that tree. And now that by help of the God I have come to be king, I will offer my promised sacrifice. So prepare it with all speed. But what are we to make it of? My vow, said the king, was this. All such as are addicted to the 5 sins. To do the slaughter of living creatures and so on. And all such as walk in the 10 paths of unrighteousness, them will I kill, and with their flesh and their blood, with their entrails and their vitals, I will make my offering. So proclaim by beat of drum that our Lord the King in the days of his viceroyalty vowed that if ever he became king he would kill and offer up in a sacrifice, all such of his subjects as break the commandments. And now the king wills to kill 1,000 of such as are addicted to the 5 sins or walk in the 10 paths of unrighteousness. With the hearts and the flesh of the 1,000 shall a sacrifice be made in the God's honor. Proclaim this that all may know throughout the city. Of those that transgress after this date, added the king, will I kill 1,000, and offer them as a sacrifice to the God in fulfillment of my vow. And to make his meaning clear the king uttered this stanza. 1,000 evil doers once I vowed, in pious gratitude to kill. and evil-doers form so huge a crowd, that I will now my vow fulfill. Obedient to the king's commands, the ministers had proclamation made by beat of drum accordingly throughout the length and breadth of Benares. Such was the effect of the proclamation on the townsfolk that not a soul persisted in the old wickedness. And throughout the Bodhisattva's reign not a man was convicted of doing wrong. Thus, without harming a single one of his subjects, the Bodhisattva made them observe the commandments. And at the close of a life of alms-giving and other good works he passed away with his followers to crowd the city of the Devas. Said the Master, "This is not the first time, brethren, that the Buddha has acted for the world's good. He acted in like manner in past times as well." His lesson ended, he explained the relation and identified the birth by saying, "The Buddha's disciples were the ministers of those days, and I myself was the king of Benares."